Okay. Hello everyone and welcome to a new cosplay video. So today we're going to be talking about original design cosplays, or AU cosplays, AU standing for alternate universe. Basically like fan designs. So these are designs that are not canon to the character, they're ones that fans have come up with for like an alternate universe or alternate timeline for that character. I've done a bunch of these over the years. So to name a few, I've done Sailor Armin, Girl Gang Lapis, Steampunk Ladybug, Waitress Mitsuri, and Waitress Vanessa, just to name a few, to give you a few examples of like the original designs that I've done. I love doing original design cosplays. It took me a long time to like get into doing them, but once I started, I was like hooked. It's very fun to bring your own designs and ideas to life and to really think outside of the canon. So I asked over on Instagram, because I thought that this would be a helpful video to talk about like how to do original design cosplays, what my personal process is for doing original design cosplays. So I asked over on Instagram for some questions that people have about doing AU cosplays, and I got a bunch of really great questions that I'm going to basically go through and address in this video to give you guys a bit of an idea of how I go about doing my own original design cosplays. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So the first question we have is, how do you decide on an AU/aesthetic to go with a given character? So for me, I have notes, by the way. So if I keep looking down at my notes, I apologize. I'm going to try and be as off book as I possibly can, but I want to make sure that I stay on track. So I like to think about AUs or original designs. I'll be using those terms kind of interchangeably during this video. Ones that really vibe with the character's backstory or background, their personality, or the world that they are canonically in. So a few examples, I have Steampunk Ladybug, and Steampunk Ladybug I decided on because I thought the world that she's from would really go well with like the steampunk aesthetic. I just thought those concepts would vibe really well together, so that's why I decided to go with steampunk for Steampunk Ladybug. For Sailor Armin, I went with a design that would go with his backstory. So I thought that since he really wants to see the ocean, that's like his dream, to see the ocean, I thought having him in a sailor outfit just made a lot of sense. So that's where that idea came from. For Waitress Mitsuri, I thought this just went really well with her personality. She's like a very cute, very bubbly lady, and so I thought that like a little waitress outfit, like a kind of 50s inspired waitress outfit would go really well with her personality and her aesthetic and her like overall vibe. So that's why I decided on that. So I have some examples of AUs that go with most characters or series. Here's just to name a few. We have school, post-apocalyptic, waiter/waitress, steampunk, idol, magical girl/magical boy, fantasy/D&D, coffee shop, and girl gang. So these are just a few ideas to maybe get like the juices flowing for you guys on what kind of AUs you could do for your own cosplays. Now, all that said, you do need to think of AUs that will be easy enough to make your own design around. So for example, I thought that doing like an armored Eddie cosplay would be really cool, like a high fantasy armored kind of thing, because he's into D&D, and like that would be just like a really cool concept. But his canon design doesn't really lend itself that well to doing an armored design. Like there's not enough elements there that I feel would translate well into that kind of design, right? Because he's very modern, and an armored design would have to be kind of old-timey, and so I didn't feel like there was a lot to really work with there. That's not to say that's not possible, it would just be incredibly challenging. So there are some characters out there who, you know, you might feel like there's a good idea there, but there might not be enough in their design, in their aesthetic to like lend itself to doing that design. So that's just something to keep in mind. The second big question was, where do you get your references from? So I always start off by doing just a general Google image search of the profession or aesthetic that I am basing my design off of. So for Waitress Vanessa, for example, I looked up those kind of cute 50s waitress outfits to see what they really look like, and researched various 80s aesthetic to kind of pinpoint realistically what a waitress working at the Pizzaplex would look like. Because I knew that I wanted it to be like a cute kind of waitressy outfit rather than like a formal waitressy outfit, right? So that was the kind of stuff that I researched. For Girl Gang Lapis, I based that design heavily on the Porter Robinson Lionhearted music video. So I just watched that and took notes of like what their outfits looked like. So oftentimes I'll have an idea of what I'm going for in my head, but I'll need to do research to really pinpoint what I want it to look like and really like flesh it out. It's kind of like the original outfit that I have in mind will be like a blurry photo, and in order to get that photo into focus, I need to do research, if that makes sense. So to really flesh it out and make sure also that it is accurate to the profession or aesthetic that I'm working off of. So obviously like a waitress outfit, you want to make sure that it is realistic to what a waitress would wear, etc., etc. So doing research is just really important in that aspect. Even if you are doing an original design, you still have that element of like accuracy that you need to follow. One of my biggest tips is to make a mood board. So this is taking images that feature elements that you'd like to use in your design and put it all together on a digital canvas. So I like to use a blank canvas in the program Pages. So you can use like a Word document, a Pages document, a Photoshop document, what have you. You could do a Pinterest board. Basically, you just want to just take all the elements that you want to incorporate into your design and like put them together so you can see them side by side and just see whether they harmonize together. And this will obviously help you put together your final design. Next, it's important to sketch out what you want in full color. Regardless of what your drawing ability is, it's very important to have a sketch to work off of. If you aren't good at drawing human figures, you can always go online and find a base. So there are a bunch of bases available that are just like a human figure, and you can just draw your design over top. This is what I usually do. And like I said, you want to make sure that you add color, because color blocking is incredibly important when it comes to doing your own designs. And put a pin in that, we will come back to that later. Also, don't be afraid to do multiple sketches, because doing an original design takes a lot of revision, takes a lot of time, and you might do one sketch and like maybe one element that you have in that one sketch, and maybe you'll do another sketch and you'll like a different element that you like in that sketch, and so you want to merge them together. So then you'd have to make like another sketch. So it's completely normal to not get it on your first try, and it is very important to like revise your drawings until you get the desired result. So don't be afraid to do multiple different sketches during this part of the process. And also, if you do a bunch of sketches and you're still not happy with them, I recommend to literally sleep on it. So take a step back, go to bed, wake up the next day, take another look at your sketches, and then go from there. This is a very normal part of the creative process, and it is very helpful to just step back for a little bit and then come back with kind of a fresh mindset. The next question we have is, how do you make it unique while still being recognizable / accurate? So first and foremost, like I said previously, color blocking and color palettes are incredibly important for this particular aspect. I find that this is by far the best way to get a character's identity across, is to make sure that your color blocking and your color palette is recognizable and accurate to the character. So think about where certain colors are situated on the character's canon design, what their primary color is, what their accent color is, and then eventually work that into your design. So for example, for my Waitress Mitsuri, I played around with a lot of pinks and greens, and for my Fancy Charlie, I played around with a lot of reds and blacks. The location of the colors, known as color blocking, can also help improve recognizability. So for my Wanda cosplay, she has a yellow shirt and black pants. So what I did is I made my dress yellow and then had visible black tights and shoes so that there was the same color blocking. So we had yellow on top, black on the bottom, and then obviously her pink hair on top. Sometimes you can't replicate the color palette exactly, in which case I recommend having one key color that is associated with the character present in your design. And then you can keep the style of their clothes similar to their canon design. So for example, for my Monster Hunter Dipper, I didn't replicate his color palette exactly, but I had the orangey red shirt as a focal point, and I replicated what his design looks like, just kind of in an edgier way, because I wanted it to be like cool and edgy. So I have the red / orange t-shirt, a vest, and then his hat, which has a similar style to his actual hat. And then for Casual Tracer, I really replicated what her design looks like, just in a more casual fashion and just kind of more simplified. So I have a leather jacket and the gradient skinny jeans to really hammer home that like this is Tracer. Also, I mean, it says Tracer on the t-shirt, but aside from that, I made sure to make it very much read as Tracer. You can also incorporate elements of the character's canon designs, like props and accessories, into your design. So for my Vampire Tracer, I have her Chronal Accelerator, very recognizable part of Tracer's design. So like, you know, you see that and you immediately know it's Tracer. So if your character has like a very recognizable prop that would fit with that AU, you can totally incorporate that to help increase the recognizability. Aside from that, I do like to believe that the devil is in the details. So I do recommend adding details and motifs to the cosplay that will give kind of hints to who the character is. So these can reflect the character's backstory, personality, interests, etc. So some examples, I have patches on my Girl Gang Lapis cosplay. So I have like the leaf, because there's that really significant scene where she finds the maple leaf. There are a bunch of other patches on that jacket that like kind of are callbacks to symbolic parts of her backstory, but that's kind of like the best example that I have is the leaf. For Ladybug, I just went ham with all the Ladybug motifs, so I have like little buttons that are shaped like ladybugs. The little corset that I have is tied up with red and black spotted ribbon. I put these gold puzzle pieces on my Professor Layton skirt. I have little heart-shaped buttons on my Waitress Mitsuri shirt. And for all the different designs that I've done for Lapis over the years, I've made sure that there are wings, some sort of like wing design on the back of the cosplay. Hairstyles can also really help if you're worried about recognizability. So I personally usually just like keep the character's canon hairstyle. You can obviously change it up if you feel like the design warrants it, but if you're worried about recognizability, that is another really good way to make the character come across, is just to have their canon hairstyle. And that is all I have for today's video. So I hope that was helpful. Most importantly, you know, don't be afraid to be creative. Don't be afraid to have fun with your designs, and just use it as a major creative outlet and a great way to show your passion for a character. And I think as long as you kind of put your passion into it and like put your love of the character into it, I'm sure you'll have no problems. Because that's my like favorite part of doing original design cosplays, is just getting to show your love for the character and like really cater that design to them, like in the little details, in the color palette, in all that stuff. So that is what I recommend doing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys all next time, but until then, Panda Faces, oh my gosh, my camera's about to die. Until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye!